Attention! Before you continue, please subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and click the bell. You're about to hear a story that will make you question everything you thought you knew about the world around you. Don't close your eyes, for the truth hides where you least expect it. The forest McDonald's, lost in the shadows. It's no secret that legends and urban myths are often born in the most unexpected places. But what if one of the most innocuous symbols of popular culture suddenly appeared in the middle of a remote forest, and its gleaming lights turned into a curse? This story begins at dusk, where the ordinary becomes supernatural, and the price of a familiar burger is far too high for human life. "Are you sure you saw that?" whispered Robert, his voice trembling. His friend, Jackie, only nodded silently, his gaze fixed in the half-light. In the forest around them, dense and mysterious, the very trees seemed to listen to every step they took. Here, on a small clearing, a building had materialized, emanating an unsettling mix of inviting normality and unexplainable menace. No one expected that amidst these ancient trees, where every path is steeped in legends and fears, a McDonald's would suddenly appear, with its bright logo, neon lights beckoning inside, and the familiar sound of bustling kitchens. But it was here, in this forgotten corner of America, that strange events began to unfold. People who entered this establishment seemed to vanish into the darkness, leaving behind only echoes of footsteps and a chill down the spine. This eerie night marked the beginning of a nightmare investigation that soon captured the attention of the entire county. I urge you, dear listeners, to ponder this. Perhaps the story you are about to hear isn't mere fiction, but a warning. If you enjoy delving into the mysteries of the unknown, keep listening until the very end. On that fateful night, a small group of locals gathered at the entrance of the mysterious restaurant. Among them were the owner of a nearby store, a school teacher, and even a few brave teenagers determined to test the rumors. Whispered conversations and furtive glances filled the night air as they inquired, "I heard this place used to be an abandoned gas station. But how could that be?" asked an elderly man, barely concealing the tremor in his voice. "Something's not right here," replied a woman with conviction. "It seems this isn't just an abandoned building, but a portal." Suddenly, the sound of a door creaking open echoed from behind them, and everyone froze. A faint, almost imperceptible hum emanated from within, as though an unseen force was calling them to plunge into its mystery. The first disappearances occurred that very night. People entered the McDonald's, and by the next day, their traces had evaporated, leaving only vague memories and countless unanswered questions. Some witnesses reported seeing strange silhouettes gliding between the columns, while others claimed to have heard an eerie laughter echoing from behind the counter. Rumors began to cascade over the small town, weaving themselves into the fabric of its nocturnal nightmares. "We can't just stand by and watch people vanish," declared the local policeman, attempting to quell the mounting panic. Yet no one could have foreseen that this case would take such a sinister turn and lead to the emergence of a detective ready to risk everything to unravel the mystery. The following days only brought more chilling testimonies. Strange marks began to appear on maps throughout the town, and even the most skeptical residents started talking about how the forest had come alive, its heart beating in sync with that of the town. News of the mysterious disappearances spread like wildfire, and soon the story of the mythical McDonald's took center stage. At the local police station, where the aroma of coffee mingled with an atmosphere of tension, a small team was assembled to investigate. Leading the charge was Detective John Harris, a man who had grown accustomed to uncovering truths where most could only see darkness. His cold, methodical gaze instilled confidence, even in the direst of situations. Over a strong cup of coffee in a dimly lit office, Harris spoke with local journalist Mark. "John," Mark began, nodding towards a stack of unsolved cases. "This isn't just about people disappearing. It's as if the forest itself is swallowing them up. And the McDonald's, it's like a trap with no escape." John furrowed his brow and replied quietly, "I know, Mark. My past is filled with shadows of similar cases, but this McDonald's is something else entirely. Its appearance isn't coincidental. There's a power here that we are only beginning to understand." Witnesses described mysterious lights flickering deep within the forest, and shadows darting past the restaurant's windows. One evening, as the moon hung high in the sky, a passerby, later found near the building, whispered in a quivering voice, "I saw the McDonald's door swing open, and something crawled out. It looked as if it were made of night and fear itself." These words ignited a burning resolve in Detective Harris. He knew that the only way to unearth the truth was to enter that place, even if the cost might be too high. As rumors and conjectures proliferated, the town gradually descended into paranoia. The local radio transmitted strange signals late at night, and residents, united by a shared dread, began gathering near the forest edge in search of answers. "We must be cautious," cautioned an elderly woman, "for fear gives birth to monsters, and every monster is a reflection of our own souls." "But who are we without doubt?" retorted a young man, clutching an amulet he believed could ward off evil. Every voice, every account, every detail appeared to be a fragment of a larger mosaic, a terrifying vision that declared the McDonald's in the forest was not simply a place to grab a meal. It had become a symbol of darkness that ensnares souls in its endless abyss. With the first rays of dawn, the forest awakened, but the darkness of the night left behind not only a chill, but also countless unsolved mysteries. Detective Harris, armed only with his instincts and past experience, resolved to venture into the very heart of the forest. He felt that the answers lay not only within the walls of the mysterious McDonald's, but also in the nature that encircled it. Along a narrow trail leading to the restaurant, Harris encountered a local hunter named Bill, a man who had spent his entire life in these woods. Bill's face was etched with wrinkles, and his eyes were as deep as ancient lakes, filled with both wisdom and apprehension. "You're headed where no human foot has trodden before," Bill said, clenching his fist. "McDonald's isn't just a building. It's a mark, a sign of the end of one era and the beginning of another. My grandmother used to say that something similar happened long ago when the forest sought revenge for its losses." Harris listened intently, knowing that every word could be a key to unlocking the mystery. Bill continued, "They say that once this forest was home to an ancient cult, one that worshipped the forces of nature. When people arrived and desecrated these sacred places, the forest awoke and began its vengeance. Perhaps the McDonald's is not a random occurrence, but part of an ancient ritual that demands a sacrifice." Reflecting on Bill's words, Harris could not help but recall his own past, filled with strange cases and unexplainable happenings. He had long suspected that something was amiss in these woods, and now his intuition screamed, "Enter! There you will find the answers." His thoughts were interrupted by the rapid approach of footsteps. Emerging from behind the dense trees was a young man, unfamiliar to Harris. Introducing himself as Thomas, he recounted something unbelievable. "I looked into the McDonald's window and saw not people, but shadows dancing to an unseen rhythm. They whispered something, a language I couldn't understand." "What exactly did they say?" Harris asked, trying to capture even a hint of meaning from Thomas's account. "I heard, 'We are the children of the night, the lost souls. Come, join us.'" It was as if the voice emanated from every direction at once. Thomas added hesitantly, glancing over his shoulder, as if afraid of being watched. The labyrinths of the past, where every trail led to new enigmas, enshrouded the detective. He realized that to grasp the full picture, he needed not only to search for clues, but also to peer into the very soul of the forest, a soul that was now brimming with pain and retribution. Bill's words, Thomas's whispers, and Harris's own instincts converged into a single image. Here, among these ancient trees where nature harbored age-old secrets, the appearance of the McDonald's was merely the tip of the iceberg. But what lay beneath this modern facade? The detective knew that he was about to unravel a mystery that would affect not only his fate, but also the destinies of all who dared cross the threshold of this ominous establishment. Night had fallen upon the forest when Harris, armed only with his flashlight, notebook, and unwavering determination, approached the enigmatic McDonald's. His footsteps echoed along the deserted path, and his breath mingled with the whispering wind, a wind that seemed to carry ancient tales. The building stood unnaturally bright amid the darkness. Neon lights and advertising signs sparkled, luring him ever deeper into their labyrinth. Stopping before the entrance, Harris took a deep breath. He recalled Bill's and Thomas's words as an inner spark ignited, a spark that might lead him to the truth hidden behind this dreadful facade. Steeling himself, he stepped forward and pushed the door, which creaked open as if of its own accord, revealing a passage to another world. Inside, nothing was as expected. The dining area was bathed in a dim glow, and the familiar aromas of a McDonald's kitchen mingled with an alien metallic note that sent shivers down his spine. The walls seemed too narrow, and the corridors appeared endless. Then, where a normal counter should have been, Harris heard a strange voice speaking in a language he had never heard before. "Welcome, seeker of truth," the voice echoed, as if emanating from the very depths of the building. Startled, the detective spun around, trying to locate the source of the sound, but saw nothing. "Who's there?" he demanded, his voice filled with determination. There was no reply, only a soft rustling, as if someone, or something, was moving unseen behind him. In that very moment, the door behind him slammed shut with a thunderous bang, and Harris realized that there was no turning back. His heart pounded as an icy fear coursed down his spine. Slowly, he proceeded along the narrow corridor, every step echoing in a silence broken only by mysterious sounds emanating from deeper within. As he advanced, the corridors began to morph, transforming into what seemed like an endless maze. The walls appeared to shift, rearranging their patterns, and every turn revealed new, incomprehensible halls. In one such chamber, Harris encountered a group of people gathered in a circle, their faces contorted with a mixture of fear and awe. "Who are you?" the detective asked, addressing the leader of the group. A man with silver hair and deeply set eyes replied softly, "We are those who could not escape. We came here in search of truth, but we became prisoners of this anomaly. The McDonald's has ensnared our souls." Harris's eyes locked on the stranger's words. There was a portent of impending doom in his voice, and the detective understood that he had stumbled not merely upon another case, but into the center of a supernatural conspiracy where reality merged with nightmare. Brief, fragmented dialogues alternated with moments of utter silence. In the corners of the room, shadows flickered, and time itself seemed to have stopped. "We tried to find a way out, but the exit disappears with every step," the stranger continued, as if fading into the half-light. Harris felt his mind struggling to rationalize the events unfolding around him, but logic was yielding in the face of the inexplicable. Every door, every corridor, beckoned him deeper into the abyss, a realm from which there might be no return. His heart pounded in time with the unseen rhythms, and every movement felt like a piece of a puzzle he had to solve. The McDonald's, a symbol of popular culture, had transformed into a place where past and future intertwined, and each passing minute raised more questions than answers. A sense of inevitability overwhelmed Harris as he continued his journey through the corridors of this strange establishment. Here, among reflections and shadows, he began to find clues deliberately left for him. On the walls, as if painted with an invisible ink, were symbols resembling ritual marks from ancient cultures. In one chamber, the detective discovered an old diary, seemingly abandoned by someone who had experienced these horrifying events long before the McDonald's appeared in the forest. The diary's entries, scrawled in an indecipherable hand, recounted bizarre rituals performed in these very parts during a time preceding civilization. One page read, "When the moonlight merges with the shadow of ancient trees, the portal opens for those seeking redemption. But remember, by entering here, you surrender a part of your soul to the darkness that dwells in the hearts of the forgotten." These words forced Harris to consider that this building might not merely be a trap, but an extension of an ancient rite, one that exacts a toll in souls. With each page he turned, he increasingly understood that behind it all lay a history stretching back to a distant past, a time when nature and mysticism were one. Meanwhile, in another room lit by the flickering glow of old lamps, Harris overheard a tense conversation between two strangers. Standing by an old map of the forest spread across a table, they exchanged anxious words. "Are you sure this is the only exit?" one asked, his voice quivering with worry. "No, there are many exits here, but they all lead to one point, to the heart of the McDonald's," the other replied, gripping the map tightly. "It is there that the truth we seek is hidden." Harris listened intently, trying to catch every detail. Who were these people? Were they, like the others, trapped souls? Or were they part of a plan set in motion long before their arrival? The detective felt that their conversation was no coincidence. It hinted at alternative paths that might lead either to salvation or to even greater terror. At that moment, a deep rumble shattered the silence. The building trembled, and as if by magic, the walls began to shift. Previously hidden passages opened up before him, revealing labyrinths that stretched into infinity. The time has come, thought Harris, gathering every ounce of his courage, and resolutely moved forward, even as a mounting sense of dread overtook him. Each step plunged him deeper into a story where the past met the present at every turn. The diary, the map, the whispers of strangers, everything coalesced into one picture, where ancient rituals and modern fears merged into a single, ominous tapestry. Harris understood that not only his own life was at stake, but the fates of all who dared cross the threshold of this enigmatic establishment. The further the detective ventured, the clearer it became that the McDonald's was not merely a restaurant. It was an entire world where the familiar transformed into the horrifying. The corridors melded into one another, forming an endless labyrinth, and time itself seemed to lose all meaning. Every twist and turn revealed new halls, adorned with strange symbols and echoes of a bygone era. In one such hall, lit only by the feeble glow of neon lights, he stumbled upon a vast chamber where the conventional interior was replaced by a surreal panorama. The walls were inscribed with runes, and the floor was covered in ancient symbols that glowed with a subdued light. At the center of the hall stood a massive screen, flashing images that resembled fragments of the lives of those who had vanished in this place. Their faces were etched with terror and despair, as if they were souls trapped between worlds. "Who are you?" Harris called out again, addressing the unseen audience. But this time his voice was met not with words, but with an unfolding sequence on the screen. The images began to show scenes of the detective himself, distorted and gradually consumed by darkness. Every frame was laden with symbolism, clocks whose hands moved backward, faces dissolving into mist, and inscriptions that faded the moment one tried to focus on them. From around the corner, a figure in an old-fashioned coat emerged, its face hidden in shadow. The figure moved closer, and its deep, solemn voice reverberated through the hall. "John Harris, you sought the truth, and the truth has been revealed to you. But remember, every soul who enters this labyrinth risks being lost forever. You are but one of many captured by this place. Will you find the way out, or will you remain part of this tale?" Harris tried to reply, but his words caught in his throat. His mind swirled with memories of lost friends and the people who had disappeared into this trap. The echoing voices and whispers grew louder, demanding his attention. "Help me," a voice cried out from deep within the hall, and the detective understood that one of the lost souls was still fighting for liberation. Suddenly, a door leading to another hall burst open with a deafening creak, and Harris, unable to resist the mysterious pull, stepped forward. Yet the moment he crossed the threshold, the maze around him transformed. Corridors narrowed, and the walls began to pulse as if they were alive. The detective felt an unseen hand gripping his soul, and in that instant, he realized that he was no longer a mere observer, but an integral part of this terrifying ritual. A voice, with no discernible beginning or end, resonated, a voice proclaiming that the time for escape was over, and that his fate was sealed. In an instant, visions of those who had vanished over the past weeks manifested before him, their faces etched with pain and horror. One by one, they whispered, "We are here forever. You will never escape. Our fates are now entwined." Harris understood that he was becoming yet another victim of this unfathomable mechanism, a mechanism where every step deepened the chasm between life and madness. At the very moment he tried to turn away in search of even a glimmer of light, the building seemed to close in around him, dragging him into its bottomless void. When the clock on the wall of that forsaken building began to toll the final moments for those who dared defy fate, Detective Harris realized there was no escape. The labyrinth, with every step, was pulling him further into an abyss where time stood still and reality lost all meaning. In one of the final halls, its walls inscribed with incomprehensible symbols, Harris encountered a massive door, adorned with an emblem that bore a distorted resemblance to the McDonald's logo, as if seen in a dark mirror. He reached out to open it, and in that moment, an eerie silence enveloped him. The sounds of the outside world ceased to exist, replaced by the monotonous beating of his heart. "Who am I?" he whispered to himself, feeling his mind desperately struggling to maintain sanity. "You are a seeker of truth, but now your truth becomes part of this place," came a voice, as though from the very heart of the building. Harris did not have time to take another step before the door swung open, engulfing him in a vortex of light and shadow. His screams echoed down the corridors, yet no one heard them. Just as many before him had vanished, leaving behind only uncertain memories and mysteries unsolved. Outside, in the darkness, those who had previously disappeared began to gather, as if their souls had found refuge within this endless labyrinth. One voice murmured, "He has joined us." Another, laden with despair, repeated, "We are all here forever." Thus ended the life of Detective Harris, but not his story. His disappearance became a new legend, a cautionary tale for anyone who dares step past the threshold of that place. Every soul that ventures into the forest, McDonald's must remember. Behind the bright lights and familiar aromas lies an ancient darkness, one that feeds on human fear and souls. In the weeks that followed, more disappearances plagued the town. Desperate for answers, those who had encountered the establishment gathered at the forest's edge, recounting tales of visions and ghosts, of sinister voices whispering in the depths of night. Some claimed to have seen Detective Harris wandering the woods as a shadow of his former self, while others spoke of strange markings etched into the bark of the trees. On one such night, sitting around a campfire, a local man named Edward declared, "If you think this is just another myth, think again. The forest McDonald's is a reminder that our fears can become reality. It chooses its victims much like it selects ingredients for its burgers, randomly, but inevitably." Conversations around the fire wove from one witness to another, each adding a fragment to the overall tapestry of terror, a tapestry where the past and present intertwined. No one could explain how this building came to be here, or why it was here. But everyone understood one thing. The truth hidden behind its brilliant lights was far more sinister than anyone could imagine. Several months passed since Detective Harris vanished. The forest McDonald's continued to exist, a mystery that tormented and terrified the locals. Its lights burned in the night, like a beacon for those in search of answers to questions that could shatter the familiar world. Legends of the place spread far and wide. News outlets and blogs discussed strange coincidences, unexplained disappearances, and irreversible changes in the character of those who had come near it. The town's elders recalled how people used to avoid this forest, fearing ancient spirits. And now, in an age of advanced technology and skepticism, the fear of the unknown had been reborn, with even greater intensity. At a local school where tranquility once reigned, the history teacher explained to his students, "The story of this place is not merely a fairy tale. It's a lesson that every action we take, every mistake we commit, can provoke nature's response. The McDonald's here is a symbol of our disregard for ancient traditions and the forces we cannot comprehend. The youth, listening intently, could not help but wonder, what if one day they too find themselves face to face with this unexplainable darkness? And somewhere, deep in the forest, the lights of the mysterious establishment continued to pulse, as if alive, inviting those brave enough to seek the hidden truth. One evening, as fog blanketed the forest and the moon shone especially bright, a strange silhouette appeared where the McDonald's once stood. It was a man dressed in an old coat, his eyes filled with both sorrow and resolve. He quietly declared, "I have returned to reveal the truth. The answer lies in the heart of the forest, waiting for those who dare to seek it." And though his voice faded into the whisper of the wind, his words echoed in the hearts of those who knew all too well the price of curiosity and the pursuit of the unknown. The forest McDonald's had grown into something more than just a place of disappearance. It became a symbol of how easily one can lose oneself between the realms of reality and the shadows of the past. Today, if you ever hear a story about a strange restaurant appearing in the forest and people vanishing after entering it, remember this tale. Keep in mind that every action has its consequences, and some mysteries are best left unsolved. Perhaps behind every turn lies another enigma, one that could drag you into an abyss from which there is no return. And remember, not every door is meant to be opened. This story is both a warning and a reminder that sometimes, behind an ordinary facade, lies something far more terrifying than one can ever imagine. If you enjoyed it, please share it with your friends and subscribe to the channel, for the truth might be waiting where you least expect it.